realized that a lot of times we really underestimate our capabilities and abilities to make things happen. It was a New Year's evening about 8 or 9 years ago when I kind of thought, what have I done really to help the world? You know, I've done some great work, but what have I really done? And so coming out of the conference, Web Visions and some of the other things we were doing to help educate kids on technology, we wanted to kind of start a practice of really connecting in a meaningful and intentional way with other communities. And I think that my motto now is going to be up with proactivity, because I think that if we can all kind of be intentional about what we want to do, and so we have the intention for our work, for our personal and family life, and the intention for the world, and so that we don't ignore how these all interconnect. And I think for the part, the intention for the world is we all have a lot of time in our lives, and I think that by taking a look at how we spend our time, we can do things that are really important. There's the saying that there's people that make things happen, people who watch things happen, and people who wonder what happened. And I think that if you follow your passions and you have a purpose and intention, you can get amazing things done. One of the things that's an important factor is organization, because in order to get things done, you have to really understand how to organize your time, organize your communities, organize people, organize your calendar, because it's too easy to get into routines where all of your time will be eaten up, and you kind of wonder where your hours and minutes of the day go. You also have to find your bros and sisters around the world and locally. Part of connecting is finding the people who have shared intentions, shared interests and goals. And those shared interests and goals will be the kind of the stickiness that keeps you going. And you also have to build trust, and trust is an interesting thing, because trust in the old days meant like getting a letter from the king or something with his wax seal on it, and you could hand that to somebody, and that was like your entrance into, a business venture or a community or whatever, and that wax seal said, this guy can be trusted even though you've never talked to him before or met him. Well, what happened in an interesting way back in the 80s was there was a community called The Well, and pretty soon people could actually meet virtually and actually establish trust and relationships without maybe connecting face to face. And that continued into today, where we have dispersed apps and platforms. We've got change.org, we've got Plus Social Good, we've got others out there. There's blogs, there's other areas where people can connect as communities and comment and share, and by doing that, they can establish trust. And again, these people may be people you've never met before, but suddenly you feel like they're part of the same kind of community of people that you care about and want to be a part of. So what does this mean for the future? Well, I think that what this opens up the opportunity for is the ability to do local projects and connect them globally. And what I mean is, like, let's just say that you wanted to affect economic disparity in your community. How would you do that? Well, in order to act locally, you have to find your people, and you have to find your mission and goals, and then you have to share your common interests and actually set tasks up to be able to address that. But then beyond that, in the old days maybe, you would actually be limited to your local community and what you do. But now what you can do is you can share what works, you can share your contacts, and you can share your resources. And so by doing that, now we can create a global set of kind of practices that really work. And by doing things that work, we can actually impact what happens for good in the world. And so part of that collaboration, locally and globally, opens up the ability to actually achieve huge things that we never thought we could do before. It allows us to really dream big. So when we used to talk about, when I was a kid in grade school, you know, what do you want to do? And most of the kids would say, I want to change the world, or I want to save the world. But that idea kind of seemed a little bit naive, because really what would happen is, you know, you'd try to take a step towards that. Maybe, you know, cleaning up a park, you know, or something like that. When I was a kid, we had this organization that came together called SOLVE, Stop Oregon Litter and Vandalism. And they came together because they saw litter on beaches and litter along highways, and they said, it's an eyesore, it doesn't reflect the values of our community, so let's go get together on a weekend and clean that up. And so by doing these kind of local projects, they kind of had an impact, but they had kind of a narrow impact, where they didn't really sustain, in the long run, a really big change. And so now what we have is we have the capability to, if we want to address global warming, we as communities can come together as local communities, connect with global communities, and use the internet and the web to share these practices so that we could then actually institute things that are not so large that people can't understand even how to attack them. And we have to be able to wash, rinse, repeat on these. You can't just do it once. You have to continue to do it over and over again. Because by setting up these communities of intention and connecting them around the world, you have the drawback is that you have an inertia that you have to get past, where people are do one thing one time, they feel good from that, and there's kind of a law of diminishing energy that happens from that you have to continue to maintain. And so connecting the communities also means the ability for everybody within those communities to act as drivers or forces, and to understand their own personal value and commitment to that. Well, in our journey of doing these conferences and hackathons, I did learn a couple of things that are kind of interesting, and I'll share them with you. Time zones suck, because if you're working with somebody in Spain or Africa or Japan or China, I mean, trying to set up a conference call gives you a very narrow window of opportunity each day to do that. And it's great that we have Skype and all these technologies to allow that and facilitate it, but we still have to deal with time. And unless you go to this notion of people who live in the same time spaces around the world, so which means that somebody might be working at midnight or in the middle of the night, where somebody here is working in the daytime, it's really inconvenient to be dispersed over locations. The other thing is avoid the blue meanies, or the people that want to just naysay and take you down and not like support what you do. And the real challenge there, I think, is don't take it personally, because every step that we take is important to, and it's not only important, but it's a part of the process of you know, battling the demons out there of people that will not believe that we can do what we can do. Again, it's like circling back to the initial idea is, sorry, let me go down one. We have to use the pick CD, or this is a really bad collection of initials, but it's using our passion, intent, trust, collaborate to dream big, and that we have to remember at the end that we always have to think of our personal capabilities and our ability to achieve a lot more. And with that, thank you very much, and I hope you can go out and connect for good in your personal life and your business life. And I have some Web Visions bags and some t-shirts and some